Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Want to do a different review for you today. I just picked up a Microsoft Lumia 950 XL. I want to give you some of my initial thoughts on it. I've been using it for about 4 days now, replacing a Lumia 1520 and a 1020 that I've had as well. Overall, as far as design goes, I think anybody looking at the device has kind of seen it's not really too representative of Lumias in the past. After seeing it, getting my hands on it, I think it's decent. It's just missing some of the fine polishing, if you will, and finishing that was available on previous devices. So overall, size, I think it's a perfect size. I had I had the 1520 for about a year or so. I use it as my daily driver. It was actually really nice. I felt like it was just a tad bit too big. One-handed operation was a little tough on it, and also putting it in the pocket, while manageable, was a little tough as well. So I think the 5.7-inch screen on the 950 XL is awesome. But I think there's some of the coolness that I think made the Lumia stand out before is missing with the device, right? If you look at the screen itself, it's just flat. There's no curvature to it. It doesn't really feel that great when you're holding it. It's a flat piece of glass. Versus if you compare it to the 1520 or even the 920 or 1020, you had that nice curvature on the edges there, making it nice and a much better feeling in the hand. As far as the case itself, I think definitely the material here feels much cheaper, feels less honed, not as smooth as what you get on the previous generation devices. I pulled out my old 920. I'm actually filming this on the 920, and I put that thing in the hand. It feels fantastic. It feels okay. I picked up a 640 for my son. This thing feels very similar to the 640, unfortunately. So design, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Is not as nice as what we've been used to in the past, but I think it's decent. One thing that is interesting that I was kind of interested to get my hands on was the new button configuration on the XL. I'm not really sure what the driver is behind this. I see no intrinsic value that this brings. Changing the volume rocker and the power switch, putting it in the middle there. I don't know. So I guess yet to be seen on how that's going to pan out. But hopefully it's not something that continues forward. I think it's a little odd, and the location basically puts it right in the middle of the device. So when I'm holding it, I feel like I'm almost touching those buttons because they're right where I want to put my thumb when I'm on the phone or looking on the internet or whatever. But the screen itself, that 5.7-inch screen, I think is the right size, especially if you're coming from a 1520. I think it's not small enough where you're going to really miss the real estate of the 1520. And the sharpness of the screen is really fantastic. So I'll unlock it here. I did use Windows Hello for that. Sorry, guys. And what I found is Windows Hello has actually been very reliable for me. Looking at some other reviews, people were saying that it doesn't really work that well with the iris scanning. When I set it up, for some reason I did it just based on when I got the phone and had it fully set up. I did the first use of the Hello function when the room was really dark, and then I did some relearning shortly after in kind of a brighter environment or with the lights on, and that seems to have worked really well. I find it works 99.9% of the time, so it works, I think, a good feature. One thing that I did notice, I've got the phone set to require a password after 15 minutes. So what you'll see is if I try to unlock the phone again, it's going to say looking for you, but I can just swipe in, which is fine. If I had my security settings saying require a password every time, it would always ask to either re-authenticate, or actually I would have to show scan my iris to get back into the phone. As far as image quality goes, the camera, one thing I will say with the new camera app is this thing is lightning quick. So you can take a bunch of photos, like a burst shot, if you will, one after the other, and image quality has been really good for me. I haven't done too much with it. These are probably some bad examples here, just kind of shooting with the flash on when I really shouldn't have the flash on. But yeah, it works well. HDR is something that I like that they defaulted on now, so you can come in and remove that flash if you wanted to as a subsequent follow-up. Overall, the device feels much snappier than previous devices. Obviously, the octa-core processor, I'm sure, has a bunch to do with it. Also, this is my first Windows 10 mobile device. My previous phone I was running 8.1 on it. I didn't want to put the technical preview. It's a work device. I'm dependent on it. I just want to make sure there was no technical challenges. And so far, it's been pretty good. The first day I got the phone, I did put a 128 gig SSD in it, and I downloaded, tried to download about 25 or 30 gigs of music. One thing I like about Windows 10 Mobile is you can put all your content on the SD card automatically, so I don't have to go through and select each album like I did in Windows 8.1 to have it stored or downloaded. With this, with my Music Pass, I can push all that content down and have it stored locally, which I think is pretty sweet. But I did get a bunch of restarting issues on the phone while I was going through that for the first day or so. I noticed it stopped in the last 2 days. I haven't seen it actually restart on me. I did update to that 0.29 update that they just released, as well as there's been some app updates that took place in the background. So I'm not sure what was causing it, but it seems like, and hopefully continuing forward here, it will be resolved. A few things I really like about the phone, though, having Qi wireless charging again. I had it on the 920, I had it on my 1020 with a kit with a cover. Having it built in by default on the device, I think is a great add. It's just so much nicer and easier just to throw it down on. I've got that JBL speaker. I can toss it on that and it charges up, or I've got one on my nightstand as well. Also the USB Type-C connection. While kind of a bit of a pain in the butt having to change all my cabling out, it is extremely fast. So you throw that in, half an hour later, the phone is up to 50%. So it does really charge quite quickly. As far as battery life goes, it's been really good. So I'm getting on, obviously I'm doing a bunch of downloading and stuff on it. I'm getting through most of the day without having to need a recharge. It's definitely not as powerful or long lasting, I should say, as the 1520, at least at this point. But I feel like after some extended usage here, it's going to get better with time. And I'm also assuming they're going to do some updates here that help with the battery life. As far as a comparison goes, if you compare the 1520, let me see, I think I've got that turned on too. Dismiss all the stuff here. Screen itself, they're really actually both quite nice. I was always pleased with what they did with the 1520 as far as the screen. One thing I do notice a bit different, as I mentioned, in addition to the curvature on the sides of the glass on the 1520, it also feels a little bit smoother. I'm not sure if there's a different coating between the 1520 and the 950 XL. But the 1520 does feel a little bit smoother and maybe shows a little less fingerprints, although looking at the shot here, they both are showing some good amount of fingerprints there. As far as size goes, when you look at the actual screen real estate, it's not that much of a difference. So this actual size of the phones themselves, quite significant. But you'll see, I think this is a much better size from a manageability perspective, and you don't lose that much on the screen itself. One thing that I think they are missing, though, is the overall that design aesthetic. What I'd love to see is some third-party manufacturer make a new case for the back that kind of brings back the old Nokia-esque design language. If you look at what they did with the 735, it has basically, it looks like a 920, just a lot thinner. I'd love to see a case like that, or a case back like that for this phone. Also, one thing that was interesting to me is the screen itself comes all the way to the edge, so the screen is pretty unprotected. So I'm nervous about cracking this. I know it's Gorilla Glass 4, so I wonder how this is going to hold up. Of all the phones I've had, I've been with Windows Phone since the Samsung Focus way back in the day when they first came out. I never had a case on any of my phones, especially with any of the Nokias. This phone, I kind of feel like I may want to get a case for it just to protect it, but we'll see how things fare and what the internet's saying about how durable the device is. But overall, you can see from a design perspective, size-wise, I think a good change for anybody who has the 1520. They're looking to upgrade. I'd say there's a noticeable bump in the performance with the new chipset. And I am liking, Windows 10 Mobile. It's been pretty stable for me so far. Battery life has been decent. Once that last update took place, that resetting issue has been resolved. So overall, I'm definitely satisfied. My new daily driver, the 1520, has now been retired. So I'll kind of give you guys an update how it goes. Any questions you have, feel free to hit me up, and I'll try to respond in the notes below. All right, guys, take it easy.